Welcome to the race briefing for the JD Duathlon Series event at Tapu. The event is held at the Rhodes Domain, which is also the Waihora Rugby Club, which is located towards the end of Old Taitap Road, just before you get to the pub. To access parking, come into the domain, drive down and either veer off to the right and park in the camping area, or proceed around behind the tennis courts and behind the new building, and there is parking behind. Please do not park on Old Taitap Road, and once you are parked, please stay there until the final competitors do complete the course, at least until they are off the bike ride. Please do not park in the golf club park area. So just repeating that, do not park in the golf club park area. That is for the golfers, which will be in operation on the day, so no parking in the golf club car park. The race schedule is as can be seen in this image, with registration being open from 7:30 AM. We start with the youth race first, followed by the open, the juniors, and finally we will do a separate briefing for the kids before we do their race start. Please remember that you bring your race number from race 1 if you participated, and there is no need to re-register. Special thanks to Triathlon Canterbury. Without them, these events simply would not happen. Also, the Four Winds Foundation, which assist with our traffic management and venue hire costs. Some key rules you need to be aware of. There is no drafting on the bike. That means you need to leave 10 metres between yourself and the rider in front of you. All the main rules are listed in the race document that you can find on the website, but main ones are: helmets need to be on your head and fastened whenever you're touching your bike. As far as mounting and dismounting your bike, you do not get on your bike until you pass over the mount line. When you're coming off the bike, you need to be off your bike before the dismount line. Laps, you need to be responsible for counting your own laps, and with this event we only do manual timing, which means you get a finish time only. Your race number is to be worn on the front. You can either have it pinned to your top or you can have it attached to a race belt. Please remember that you will keep the same number, the same physical number on that piece of paper for all 3 events if you are doing the following races. Some other important points about the race: when you're out on the bike course, please only pass on the right and keep as far left as you can at all times. If you have any medical issues, we will have a medic that will be floating around the registration area. No portable music devices such as iPods or any earphones can be worn during the event at any stage. If you are in a team, the runner wears your race number. The tag is done in the transition area with the cyclist standing next to their bike, which will be racked. You simply tag hands and the cyclist returns out onto the bike course, and likewise when the cyclist comes in, the runner is waiting where the cyclist will re-rack their bike. Again, tag hands and away you go on your next run leg. The distances for this event: for the open and teams race, you'll be doing 3 laps of the run and then 2 full laps of the bike, and then the same second run. For the novice and juniors, 2 laps on the run, 1 full lap on the bike, and 2 laps on the second run. For the youth race, you will be doing 1 lap on the run, then the bike is a shortened lap, so your turn point you'll see in the maps coming up is at the Early Valley Road intersection. Then you come back and do another 1 lap on the run. I'll do a separate briefing for the kids race. The start line for all races other than the kids race will be on the intersection of the access road and where you turn left into the transition area. On the first run, or the start of your first run, you are allowed to run down the road. On all subsequent laps and the second run, you will be directed to stay on the grass. Onto the course. Firstly, the run. As previously described, you will start and run down the access road. On your first run, you are able to run through the archway, but you must keep to the right. On your second run, you must go through the very small gate on the right of the archway. This is to allow cyclists and traffic to access the domain. Once you get out onto the road on Old Taitat Road, you will turn right. You must stay to the right of the cones. There will be only enough room on the road for one single file line. Alternatively, you can run on the grass. Proceed down towards the pub, then turn right over the small bridge. This will take you through a pathway that will bring you out to the car park behind the rugby club rooms. You will then scoot around to the right of the club rooms, run across the grass and pass transition, and either proceed to the finish or transition or to subsequent laps. On the first lap of your first run, you will be able to run down the access road on the tar seal section. On any subsequent laps and also on your second run, you will be required to run on the grass. The course will run just inside the little fence line that runs down parallel to the access road. So repeating that, first part of your first run, you will run down the access road. On all subsequent laps and on your second run, you will be running on the grass just inside the fence line, and then make a little left hand turn and right hand turn to go under the archway as you approach. Onto the bike course. There is no drafting on the bike course, and it is made up of laps of around about 12 kilometres except for the youth race. Distances for the open and vets and teams is 2 laps for around 24 kilometres. The novice and juniors is 1 full lap of 12 kilometres. The youth race I'll go over separately. In terms of the description and some notes on the course, be very wary. There are some judder bars on the access road in and out of the domain. The roads are not closed to traffic, and you need to keep to the left at all times and only pass on the right. You also need to obey the road rules. Please do take extreme care when coming in and off Old Taitat Road, and also when you come into the domain, because there will be runners potentially running down the road and hopefully should be going through the little access gate on the right. In terms of the course, you carefully bike down the access road, being wary of other riders, runners and traffic, watching out for the judder bars. You then turn left into Old Taitat Road, giving way to any traffic that is coming. Approximately 4.5 kilometres into the lap, you make a right hand turn up Early Valley Road, giving way to the traffic if required. You proceed to near the end of this road, where there is a turnaround cone and a marshal. This road is a little bit narrow, and if there's any cars with cyclists going each way, just use your common sense. When you are returning down Early Valley Road, approaching Old Taitat Road, it is a downhill. Please take this cautiously, and you do need to give way to any traffic that is coming from your right. You then proceed back to the turnaround point, which will be just before the domain, and either turn around or proceed to the transition area. Onto the transition. In this picture you can see the mount and dismount line, which is just before the access road commences. So when you're coming out of transition, you run your bike and pass over the mount line, then get on your bike. When it comes to dismounting, you get off your bike before the dismount line. In terms of the transition area, the easiest way to think of it is that you're running towards the club rooms, which is counterintuitive whenever you are trying to get out of the transition area. So when you enter on the end of your first run, you can see at the top of this image is the run entry point. You will then take your bike and you'll run your bike the opposite way to where you want to be going, which is towards the club rooms. There will be a channel on your right where you pull a U-turn, run all the way down the side of the transition area until you reach your mount line, and then you go off on your bike. When you're coming off the bike, you'll dismount, then you'll run your bike into the transition area, re-rack it, and then you'll exit again at the club rooms end of the transition area, and then pull a gentle U-turn and rejoin the run course for your second run. For the youth race, which is ages 10 to 12, taken from the 31st of December in the year of the race, their course is essentially all the same except for the bike turnaround point. At this event, the youth actually start first. We will make sure there is a tail end Charlie. Please can you remind your children that they need to keep to the left and only pass on the right. The run course for the youth is the same as the adults, however they only do one lap. When it comes to the bike, the athletes do follow the same course initially as the adults. However, their turn point is at the intersection of Early Valley Road, so they do not go up Early Valley Road. They turn around where the marshals will instruct them to turn, and then follow the road back to transition, turn right into the domain. And finally, the kids race for 5 to 9 year olds. As you can see in this image, the transition area will be located near to the finish, and we will have an area coned off for the children to park their bikes. For their first run, they will run one lap of the pink course you can see, which is roughly rectangular. They'll then put their helmets on and do the bike exclusively on the grass, following the red circuit. We may change the position of the cones slightly and the number of laps for the bike depending on the condition of the field. It will be either 2 or 3 laps. They will then re-rack their bikes in the transition area, complete 2/3 of a lap of the run course, proceeding to the finish line following the dotted course towards the end of their second run. It will be a short, fun race for the kids. If you do need to run with your kids to just encourage them, that is okay. But overall, we like the kids to be as independent as possible and just have fun. Just a reminder that the bike course for the kids race is off-road. It's all on the grass on the rugby fields, so it could be a little boggy in places, which makes racing road bikes, if any of them happen to have them, a little bit difficult. BMXs, mountain bikes, etc. would be advised. So thanks for listening. We hope this online briefing has been helpful. Please make sure that you say a word of thanks to any marshals out on the course there. They're volunteering their time to make sure that you can race, and it's an important part of our sport going forward that we have an active triathlon community where people are not only racing but also